Hey, RCA Church family and others, happy Friday. Thanks for tuning back in for your weekly word. I've got that word for you if you're ready. Are you ready? Here it is. It's grace. You know, I think back to my childhood, and I know that these things are not really popular now. It seems like I don't hear about them anymore. I'm talking about the circus. When I was a kid, I went to the circus a few times, and you see the lions and the tigers and the clowns, but the thing that fascinated me most about going to the circus way back in the day was those guys that were way up, the trapeze artists, the folks on the tightrope. It just kind of stressed me out, but it was fascinating. Life sometimes is kind of like a trapeze, isn't it? If we feel like we're swinging this way and that way, here's what life really feels like. Sometimes it feels like a tightrope, doesn't it? It just feels like it's tough. Like we've got this narrow path we've got to walk on. We're going to fall this way or fall that way. Sometimes it just seems like it's almost impossible to do the right thing. But with the grace of God, we can walk the walk that He's called us to. I want to talk to you about that a little bit today. I think that we kind of tend to picture the grace of God, at least in our heads, as you're walking that tightrope in life. God's grace is the safety net that's underneath, right? Like remember back if you ever went to the circus, sometimes they would fall, but there was a safety net that was there. They would fall into the net. They wouldn't hit the ground. They would be okay. They'd crawl out of that thing and wave to the crowd. Everybody would clap. The safety net was there. You couldn't get hurt. You couldn't get injured because the net would catch you. And isn't that such a beautiful analogy of the grace of God that even when we blow it, even when we mess up, even when we fall short, God's grace is there to catch us and to pick us up and to give us another shot at it. I love that picture of grace. But did you know that's not all grace is? Grace is not just a safety net underneath you. Grace is also the empowerment to live life. It's also the ability, the empowerment to cross that tightrope successfully. I'll say it like this: grace is also the balance beam in your hand. It is that special gift from God that it's not yours, it's not your talent and your ability, but it's that special gift that will allow you and enable you to do what seems impossible in your eyes, to be able to walk, to be able to stand, to be able to live for God in the face of the culture that we're in, to be able to do that thing that seems impossible in your own strength. And you know what? In fact, it is. Paul talks about that in the book of 2 Corinthians in chapter 12, right here in verse 9. Listen to what he says. He's talking about his thorn in the flesh. He's talking about this challenge that he has. And he says, what the Lord had said to him, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And then he goes on just a couple of verses later. He says, for when I am weak, then I am strong. We can learn a lot from the Apostle Paul in this little analogy about grace, because grace, church, listen, it's not just a safety net underneath you. God's grace is also the empowerment to live and to stand and to walk and to do and to be who God's called you to be. Listen, friend, you can do that. God's grace will empower you and strengthen you. I want you to get that in your spirit today. Imagine yourself, yes, I know that sometimes this life can be tough, but God has given you that balance beam in your hands to help you get to the other side. That's the empowerment of grace. Yes, it's the safety net, and thank God it's that. But listen, church, it's more than that. Grace is a lot more than that. I hope that you'll be encouraged by this word. I hope you'll be challenged by it. And I hope that you'll come see us Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. I'm going to be talking about this very subject. We'll be going deeper in grace. I hope to see you there.